In the movie, they show that Vijay Mallya offers 15 crores to buy Air Deccan out. And it's this long drawn emotional scene which ends with Akshay Kumar saying that he's doing this for the 90 crore Indians out there and they dream to fly in an airplane. While in reality, within 3 years of starting Air Deccan, Captain Gopinath sold a 26% stake in the airline to Vijay Mallya. And we all know what happened to Kingfisher after that. Akshay Kumar's new movie Sarfira is a remake of the Tamil movie Surya Potru, starring Surya. The film has been directed by Sudha Kongara, who directed the original as well. So what really works for this movie is that since the original movie was a huge success and it's been directed by the same director, to quite an extent the things that worked for the original work over here as well. A lot of the shots are the same as the original, which is okay because it's the same director and why not? But does the movie translate well and fly as high? Let's go ahead and find out. So this movie is basically about Captain Gopinath, a retired captain in the Indian Army who founded Air Deccan. And the story revolves around his journey and struggles to set up the airline. A lot of the shots are the same as that in the original, which is okay because it's the same director. And a lot of the shots have been adapted well as well. Overall, the story is an inspiring story. But the problem and question I have is, how accurate is it? And to find out more about this, check out my real versus real section in this video where I talk about what's shown in the movie versus what the actual story was. I feel the cinematography of the movie was good and the background music flows well with most of the scenes. The soundtrack of the movie is not the best, but there are a couple of songs that go well with the scenes being portrayed. Most emotional moments which worked in Surya Potru work over here as well, especially Akshay Kumar begging people at the airport for money to buy a ticket and the scene where he goes back to his village to see his father. The VFX in the movie is okay for the most part. Some of the planes, CG and smoke looked a little fake, but overall not too bad. Now speaking of the acting, I would say Akshay Kumar has done a good job. He genuinely breaks down in scenes where he's at a low and carries the character well. However, they've shown him as a Maharashtrian over here and he doesn't seem like one at all. Everyone around him has a thick Marathi accent but him. Radhika Madan is good as his wife, but I felt the pairing was a bit off. Paresh Rawal is just great in his role. He in fact was there in the original as well, so practically it's the same role for him. But well, he's played it to perfection. Now, a problem I had with the characters and the casting is that they've shown that most people here belong to a village in Maharashtra, but they have not cast enough Maharashtrian actors. Because of this, what happens is that most actors overdo the Marathi, oftentimes sounding caricaturish, and this takes away from the reality of the situations. There are a lot more things that were problematic for me in this movie, so well, let's go ahead and take a look at what's bad. So going off of the same point earlier, they've adapted Surya Potru to a Maharashtrian setting. However, not enough effort has been put to make this feel real. In Surya Potru, the Tamil village he was from felt like an actual Tamil village because the geography, people, dialects, costumes all were in sync with what an actual Tamil village would feel like. But here it feels very made up and because of this you oftentimes don't connect with the characters as much. Even the arc between Surya and his wife seemed a lot more real and natural in the original, but here oftentimes it feels forced and more importantly brings the pace of the movie down. I mean, there's a great scene with Paresh Rawal in the aircraft and you've just upped the stakes that this man has gotten to one of the most influential people in the aviation industry, a point so high in the story, only to cut immediately to him trying to woo Radhika Madan and then sing a song. And the song is not that great either. And this just really kills the pace and excitement for what you'd set up. Also, what doesn't work is that they show his journey from zero to hero post interval in a span of about 20 to 30 minutes. Where it's like, I need 3.15 crores to get this kick started and all the villagers start giving him money. But even then, I don't know how that would have amounted to 3.15 crores. And before you know it, he has his airline doing tests and trials and it's almost up and running. I'm sure the actual story would have been a lot more different and a lot more inspiring. So I really wish they focused more on what was actually true. Also, in the last 40 minutes or so, they just show that there's one win and then one thing goes wrong. And then again, something good happens and something goes wrong. And after a point, it just gets exhausting. It just feels like you want him to just win already and have this movie end. It creates this false sense of hope and excitement for the audience, only to kill it in 5 or 10 minutes, eventually tiring the viewer so much that by the end of the movie, you don't really feel for his success. Also, a random mistake that I noticed, they say that in his village for the longest time even trains didn't stop. The closest hospital is some 200 kilometers away, etc, etc. I think you get the point. Now in scenes where he's on the terrace, they show planes flying. which I like in terms of foreshadowing, showing that his goal is at the back of his mind, but these planes are flying too low, indicating they're about to land soon, which technically isn't possible given the condition of his village. So, bit of a flaw over there. So Captain Gopinath was in the Indian Army and took early retirement at the age of 28. In the movie they show he's part of the Indian Air Force and takes early retirement. In the movie they show that Akshay Kumar is almost broke and a nobody, trying to sell his idea of a low-cost airline to venture capitalists and other people in the aviation industry. But in reality, Captain Gopinath had already founded Deccan Aviation, which provided private helicopter services, eventually becoming the biggest private helicopter service in India, much before they even ventured into low-cost airline Air Deccan. Now the entire dialogue of this movie is how Captain Gopinath started this airline for the people and for the poor. But honestly, this model already existed in Europe in the form of Ryanair and in USA in the form of Southwest, American Airlines, Spirit Airlines and many others. While I can't speak for his true intentions, it's not unfair to assume that this honestly was just another business opportunity to be tapped and not a social cause. To further bolster this point, in the movie they show that Vijay Mallya offers 15 crores to buy Air Deccan out. And it's this long drawn emotional scene which ends with Akshay Kumar saying that he's doing this for the 90 crore Indians out there and they dream to fly in an airplane. While in reality, within 3 years of starting Air Deccan, Captain Gopinath sold a 26% stake in the airline to Vijay Mallya. And we all know what happened to Kingfisher after that. In fact, within 6 years of incorporation, Captain Gopinath sold his entire stake in the airline. And you know what's even more problematic? After the sale of his stake, he served on the board of Kingfisher Airlines until they went bankrupt and Vijay Mallya fled, which also led to the CBI questioning him about his involvement with Kingfisher Airlines and Vijay Mallya. So what happened to the principles and dreams? Or was that just overdramatization in the movie to tap into people's emotions? Also, the movie really dramatizes how they sold tickets for just 1 rupee. There's even a scene with an old woman showing a 1 rupee coin to Akshay Kumar saying, "See, I could fly." But in reality, while there was a 1 rupee deal, there were taxes and airport charges on this which drove the 1 rupee ticket price to over 1000 rupees. Still cheap, but portrayed very differently in the movie. So wrapping this segment up, I feel it's fair to portray G.R. Gopinath's journey and struggle as he really was the pioneer of low-cost aviation in India. And let's celebrate him for that. But to portray him holier than thou, twisting facts just to add more melodrama to your story, well, that's not what I call a biopic. So on the whole, this remake of Surya Potru is decent and has some high points, but is also not adapted well and has a number of flaws too. Honestly, I would say just watch the original. But having said all that, on the BMB meter, I'm giving this movie 6 on 10. The makers tried to make this movie fly high, but it doesn't land. Do let me know what your thoughts are. And I really do want to indulge in some interesting discussions on what you feel is a fair biopic and to what extent should filmmakers take creative liberties with true stories. But till then, go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you like my content and stay tuned for more. Cheers and I'll see you soon.